Hi, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So you work with Goldman Sachs. You've been in that space for how many years now?
4 years now.
4 years?
Yes, sir.
That's amazing. How did you go from, or let me ask first of all, your background, Brixton and all that.
Yes.
You're supposed to, by statistics, you're supposed to have children by now or some kids and a council flat. How did you come this far?
So it's been a journey, but essentially I met some people along the way that offered me help. I'm from Brixton, and from like you said, people from Brixton don't really become anything. And I was just going to end up in a normal job, probably around HR. But I met someone along the way who actually just said, okay, would you like to apply for Goldman?
Usually people feel like that's gonna be a man friend, a boyfriend in some high places trying to get a black girl or something like that. Is that the story?
That's not the story at all. I met a woman at the time, and
really?
she just wanted to help me. She said, you seem like you would do good in finance. And I said, I don't have a clue. I didn't have a CV at the time. I hadn't had any previous history working in any company. But she said to me, your limit is wherever you set your limit to be.
Wow.
So I just thought, okay, let me apply. She took me by hand. She went through my cover letter, went through my CV and said, apply. She went to HR and she spoke to HR and said, this is someone that needs to be fast-tracked.
It's amazing when you hear women help women though. That's very different. That's very special.
Yeah.
So, and at a point in life, you lost your mom.
Yeah.
And that was serious. How did you survive that kind of season and still you're standing and you're excelling in your workplace?
I think for me, I just said to myself, this cannot be the end. At the time, I was about 22, about to be 23, and I said, there's no way my life can end like this. Because normally when those tragic things happen, people go all over the place, they enter stuff like depression, but I just said, there's no way my life can end like this. So I was determined somehow, I didn't know how, I just knew that somehow I have to make something out of my life.
Wow.
So from then I just determined I have to make something. Everyone I speak to, I always tell them about my story of so-called adversity.
Yeah.
And I always say, if I'm able to go through that, then whatever you go through, you can also, you
Have
can
you
go
fully
through.
recovered from the feeling of that? Oh.
I don't think you ever recover. I always say the thing about pain is it doesn't get easier, you just learn how better to deal with it.
Wow, no, that's deep. So if someone is watching going through pain, that's what you would tell them,
Yes.
how to deal with it.
Yeah.
How did you deal with yours?
Firstly, it was the people I had around me.
Okay.
I was around people that they didn't dwell on the fact that my mom had passed away. It was more like, okay, now what's next? Are you going to be like someone that lets this overcome them, or are you going to make something of your life? Are you going to make a statement from this that crazy things can happen to an individual, but they can still rise?
How close were you to your mom?
Very close. I was the last born.
Oh, wow. I think one of the biggest pain in life is the loss of your loved one.
Yeah.
It's deep, but you're coming out well. So what makes you different? Probably there are more people in 2020 or 2019 to 2020 working in Goldman Sachs. What makes you different? The doors of the city are getting more open, but you're different. That's what I've read in your story. Why are you different? What makes you different?
What makes me different, I think, is the ability to continue and push despite what happens around me. So in some ways, what happened with my mum was an tragic incident, but that has been a driving force for me throughout the years. I've just determined that I need to make a change, and that change has to be visible. So I work with a lot of people, hundreds of young people, both inside my company, outside of my company, and that's the message that I give to them.
And that's the point. So you lead one of the families before COVID happened, and probably still the Connect family, you're in Croydon. Then you still lead people in your workplace. How do you balance both? And why are you doing? Isn't that doing too much?
I get that question a lot, and people say, how do you manage it all? There's no way to manage it, but I always say whatever you value in your life, you would prioritize.
Yeah.
And for me, I value helping people because I was once helped. So even if it might mean some days I don't sleep that well, or some days I can be working with one hand and then I'm talking to someone with the other hand. But for me, it's because I put value on the ability to help, and I realize its importance. I will do whatever it takes to help people.
On the scale of 1 to 10, how important is marriage to you?
Well, I've been desensitized to it, so it would be on the lower end of the scale.
Because you have a lot of things you're doing.
I think it's a matter of focus. I think when you have something that you're pushing towards and you have an agenda that you're trying to achieve, that becomes the thing that takes over your life. And after that, everything else becomes secondary.
So you're a pastor, you're a banker of high repute, you live with people, you overcame grief, and all that. Would you say you're successful? Do you see yourself as a successful person?
I would say the journey of success is continuous.
Okay.
And it's something that has to be continuously evaluated. But I don't think there's ever a point where you can say you are successful. I think you just continue on a journey called success. Because no matter how many people you help or how many lives you change, there's always hundreds and thousands of people that still need help.
Very true.
So I would say it's a continuous journey, and with every milestone that we think we've achieved, there's always more work to be done. So that's how I look at it.
That's amazing. So Pastor, how about in 3 years' time will be what? What do you see?
Pastor, I've been 3 years' time, will be in banking, but will chart a new kind of people within banking. Okay. Banking is seen as an industry that is quite desensitized, quite heartless, quite dog eat dog. But for me, I think there's a new elite kind of people that are the most intelligent. They are the top of their class in school. They're pioneering agendas, but they also have hearts. And they do things not because it's another tick box, but they do things because they actually want to see change. Okay. So for me, it's pioneering that elite group of people that understand heart, but also understand mission and agenda, and are able to pioneer new ideas through looking at it through that lens.
Now that's amazing. So in maybe 1 or 2 words, what do you think got you out of Brixton? Not as if you don't live there anymore, but let's say, and I'm not saying Brixton, so please don't come at me saying, oh, you think we shouldn't live in Brixton. You can live wherever you want. I'm just saying that from that mindset and the expectation of this community, let's say that's Brixton. What got you out of it? What was your social mobility vehicle out of that kind of lifestyle or expectation to where you are today?
Like you said, it's all about mindset. So I would say mentorship had a big part to play in that. I didn't actually move out of Brixton till towards the end of last year. So it hasn't been that long. But for me, it's still, even whilst living there, my mindset changed. And that's through mentorship. And I think the most important thing was the ability to think bigger than my surroundings, but think.
What made you think bigger?
Mentorship.
Okay.
Having leaders who constantly said, no, it's not just about getting a job or having a career. There's more to that. And I never had even thought about that. I thought the success route was get a job, you have a car, you have a family, and that's it. You get a mortgage. But you think bigger and you think, no, there's actually so much that can be done. And that ability to open my mind to just think bigger on a scale that I hadn't have thought of before.
Now that's amazing. So if someone is watching right now from Brixton, let's say they are you about 5, 6, 7 years ago. In other words, they are still in their early 20s or late teen, 18, 19. What would you say to them? What would be your message to a lady watching, a girl watching from Brixton? What would you like to tell her?
I would tell her that it doesn't matter about where you start. You can start life anywhere, but you decide where you will end it. The choices that you make in life will determine who you become. And it's about surrounding yourself with the right people that encourage those right choices, because in front of you, you wouldn't know what is right and what's wrong. The things that we see as wrong or right are just determined by what we're used to. Right. So I would say, think big, surround yourself with the right people, and just don't stop, because Brixton, a lot of things can hold you back along the way. But it's that ability to continue despite what happens, despite what you encounter, and just thinking of, no, there is a way out of this. And even if no one's done it before you, you can be the one to do it.
Now, that's amazing. Now, for me, it is a story of resilience. It's a story of strength. It's a story of to keep going regardless of what happens. Saying that it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter how difficult the demographic you're coming from is, to be able to persevere through, have mental resilience, and then become whoever you want to become. I think that's what I've heard from this story. You're a very inspiring character, I must say, and you look well as well.
Thank you, sir.
You're from Ghana?
Yes, sir.
Do you go Ghana at all? Do you?
I haven't gone in a very long time.
Why?
There's no particular
just busy.
reason. Yeah.
Oh, you are desensitized from it. I'm just joking. It's been a pleasure to be on. She's been a pastor in the Nation family for a few years now. Very inspiring, leading young people both in Goldman Sachs and outside of Goldman Sachs in our local community. I think this is what makes her different, and this is what makes us all very different. Again, the gist of the Nation family is to raise unique people who impact their community and inspire young people to become like them and even better version of them. Thank you so very much for being here today, Pastor Abba. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you all, and I'll see you later. God bless you. Tout en